Now that the 2025 NBA offseason is over, the 2026 regular season is right around the corner. I wanted to be giving you guys my official winners and losers from the last few weeks here in the offseason. I just kind of wanted to wait and figure out what was going on with Jonathan Kuminga. Was he going to end up as a Phoenix Sun or a Sacramento King, or was he going to have a resolution with the Golden State Warriors? The latter happened there, where he signed that 2-year deal, essentially a 1-year deal, and he's most likely going to get traded in January. So for today, I wanted to be giving you guys winners and losers on each side. You can let me know what you agree with or disagree with down below, and like always, if there's a winner that I didn't mention or you think that I should have, or maybe on the loser side, let me know down below what you guys think. Always love to hear your opinions in the comments. So let's just start off with one of my losers, and it was going to be kind of like Jonathan Kuminga, maybe his agent Aaron Turner, or just more so the Golden State Warriors. I just think the whole Kuminga situation was a mess this offseason. I feel like it's going to be very awkward entering next year's season, with everybody kind of knowing that if Jonathan Kuminga doesn't play well, he's getting traded, or maybe even if he does play well, he's also going to get traded. It's an awkward situation, like I said. So we all know on September 30th, he signed that 2-year deal with $48 million with a team option in air quotes at the end of the season. That's essentially going to get ripped up by whatever team employs Jonathan Kuminga next offseason. And the Golden State Warriors wanted to lock him into this contract where they can now trade him for a good player at the deadline. Now, I'm not sure what Jonathan Kuminga's market is going to be, so I could see this ending up as an absolute mess. What if Jonathan Kuminga does not adapt to Steve Kerr's offense this upcoming season? Because that has been the issue with Kuminga in Golden State. He likes to play a very ball-dominant style of play, and in Golden State, you have to swing the rock very quickly, you have to set pin-down screens, and he just likes to attack the basket with the ball in his hands. That was never going to happen in Golden State without Jimmy Butler. It's definitely not going to happen this year upcoming with Jimmy Butler. If you look at when the Golden State Warriors were at their best in the second half last year with Jimmy Butler, that was when Jonathan Kuminga was injured, and then when he came back, him and Jimmy Butler really didn't gel together. So I have no idea what's going to change this year. I mean, Kuminga's going to turn 23 very soon, and maybe something will change. I just feel like we're headed towards a weird part in January where Kuminga is still just at a fine level, but nobody really wants to trade for him, and Golden State is kind of just stuck with this $24 million asset. So a big winner here, it's actually just going to be a collective unit of teams, and it's just kind of the top teams in the Eastern Conference. All of these teams realistically have a chance because they are in the East next year. With Tyrese Haliburton injured for all of the 2026 season, Jason Tatum most likely is going to miss most, if not all, of next year. So many teams in the Eastern Conference have a chance next year. Cleveland is in a great situation to try to win 60+ games again and make it to the conference finals for the first time in the Donovan Mitchell era. The New York Knicks, for the first time maybe this century, have title or bust on their season goal list this season, because this is a team that was in the conference finals last year, took the Pacers to 6. Now the Pacers are probably not going to be in the playoff picture at the top this year. The Knicks kept everybody in the offseason like Cleveland, and they think that they can make it to the NBA Finals in June. I mentioned it plenty this offseason, but Orlando and Atlanta are obviously big winners as well. They can elevate themselves in the Eastern Conference. Both of those teams could end up in the conference finals, or maybe even in the NBA Finals. Both of those teams have a chance at being the 1 seed in the Eastern Conference this year. Helps out a ton that Haliburton and Tatum are hurt, and even teams behind them like Milwaukee and Detroit have at least some shot to make it to the conference finals this year. Detroit lost in 6 games to the Knicks last year, but every game was competitive. They're a young roster that can ride that internal development. They added Duncan Robinson and Karis LeVert. They can make a trade this year as well. The Bucks didn't trade Giannis this offseason. They added Miles Turner, who is going to help them next year, because unfortunately Dame was not going to help them this year with the Achilles injury. At least they have a shot when Giannis Antetokounmpo is on your team. So I think all 6 of those teams are big winners as well, and maybe there's a surprise team like the Miami Heat or the Toronto Raptors or maybe the Philadelphia 76ers. They could be big winners as well. And just to piggyback off that, I think Trae Young is a big winner this offseason. Now, it's kind of weird that he didn't sign an extension with Atlanta. He can make a little bit more money if he signed with them next offseason, so we'll see what happens there. But Trae Young looks motivated and happy to be there at the start of the Atlanta Hawks training camp, and they went all in around Trae Young this offseason. This was a team that lost in the play-in tournament last year. They realized that they had an opening in the Eastern Conference with the emergence of Dyson Daniels, Zachary Risache, and Jalen Johnson returning. Those 3 guys can all be centerpieces around Trae Young in the half court on both ends of the floor for Atlanta. They added a great big man in Kristaps Porzingis for essentially the 22nd overall pick and salary filler of Terrence Mann and George Niang. So now they get somebody that can have a lethal pick and pop with Trae Young in the half court this season, somebody that can anchor the paint on the defensive end of the floor as long as he could stay healthy. They drafted Asen Newell. They also signed and traded for Nickeil Alexander-Walker and picked up Luke Kennard to be their backup point guard. Atlanta really is in the best position they've been in 5 years since they were in the conference finals in 2021. They thought they were a little bit better than they really were, but now it's never for Trae Young to elevate this team in the Eastern Conference this year. They built a good floor raising team around them. We know that Atlanta can at least go above 500 this year, but let's see how far Trae Young can take them, and he's in a great position to do so. Unfortunately, I do think the Boston Celtics fans are big losers this offseason. Yeah, you could look at the bigger picture and you may be like, you know what, I'm fine that we traded away Jrue Holiday, Kristaps Porzingis, and let Al Horford walk, but there are some Celtics fans out there that want to see this team be competitive and compete for titles every single year. It was just a gut punch when they realized that Jason Tatum tore his Achilles in the conference semifinals last year to the Knicks. They got new ownership, and we kind of heard from Shams all season long last year that they were definitely going to shed some money given how insane their luxury tax bill, and there are fans out there that loved watching Jrue Holiday play or loved watching Kristaps Porzingis and Al Horford play. Now none of those guys are going to be there next year. You're going to watch Neemias Queta, Luka Garza, Amari Williams, Xavier Tillman in that front court this upcoming season. You're going to watch Anthony Simons in that backcourt, no longer watching Jrue Holiday, and you're going to see a ton of Baylor Shireman and Sam Hauser on the perimeter because Jason Tatum is going to miss a decent chunk of next year's season. Maybe there's a glimmer of hope that Tatum can come back, but I do think Celtics fans that want to see this team compete for titles like they have been basically every year this decade are going to be a little disappointed this upcoming season. I mentioned how Trae Young was a big winner this offseason. I think Devin Booker is a big loser this offseason as well. Now, Devin Booker got paid a ton of money, so his bank account, his accountant, and his agent are massive winners this offseason. It's just when you look at what Phoenix was when they got Devin Booker, it was a dumpster fire. They got Devin Booker in the 2015 draft. In 2016, they went 23-59 in his rookie season. In his sophomore year in 2017, they went 24-58. We know that they took DeAndre Ayton with the #1 overall pick in that draft. In 2019, they went 19-63. So in Devin Booker's first 4 years in the NBA, they went 89-241. That is brutal for a young player to go through, and we saw that on the floor as well. It was tough for Devin Booker to lock in defensively when this team was just at the bottom of the NBA standings every single year. They got better in 2020, going 34-39. The young guys started to emerge around Devin Booker and Ayton, Cam Johnson, and Mikal Bridges. They get Chris Paul, and in 2021, they were the best team in the Western Conference. They won the Pacific Division. They were up 2-0 against the Milwaukee Bucks in the NBA Finals. That's how close Devin Booker was to winning it all. Some players in their careers don't even make it to the NBA Finals, and he was up 2-0. They go on to lose 4 in a row, but in 2022, they didn't lose any momentum. They went 64-18 in the regular season, and that's where they peaked. They got upsetted by the Dallas Mavericks in round number 2. In 2023, at the trade deadline, new owner Matt Ishbia blows it up, trading for Kevin Durant, parting ways with Cam Johnson, Mikal Bridges, and tons of draft capital. They go on to lose to Denver in round number 2. In the offseason of 2023, they make the trade that is going to send this franchise into a dark path in the 2020s. They send out Chris Paul, every other first-round pick they could possibly own, any potential pick swap to go from Chris Paul to Bradley Beal. They go on to get swept by the Minnesota Timberwolves in round 1 of the 2024 playoffs. They don't even make it to the play-in tournament here in 2025. They trade away Kevin Durant for Dillon Brooks, Jalen Green, and the 10th overall pick. They buy out Bradley Beal, stretching and waiving the $100 million remaining on his contract. And now it might be another half decade till the Phoenix Suns are realistic finals contenders like they were in 2021 and 2022. So like I said, Devin Booker's bank account, his net worth, big winners this offseason, but Devin Booker getting back to that NBA Finals caliber teams he had in the start of the decade, that's a big loser right there. I was originally going to have the Rockets and the Nuggets in this winner tier. I don't know if I want to say the Rockets are still big winners just because of what happened with Fred VanVleet. So I'm just going to talk about Denver here, kind of going back to the team that can dominate the Western Conference this offseason just like that. Because we know Denver peaked in 2023. They kind of steamrolled the Western Conference. They beat Miami in the 2023 finals. Jokic takes home finals MVP. And we're thinking, okay, this is the start of a dynasty. We're watching one of the greatest offensive peaks in NBA history. In 2024, it shocked everybody when Minnesota beat them in Game 7 in round number 2. 2025, they lose in Game 7 again in round number 2 to the Oklahoma City Thunder. Now, the 2026 Nuggets, in my opinion, have the best chance to rival the Thunder next year. If they didn't make really any moves this offseason, I thought they would have been noticeable losers, not capitalizing on one of the greatest offensive peaks in NBA history in what Nikola Jokic is doing right now. But trading Michael Porter Jr. and a future first-round pick to go get Cam Johnson, who helps you save a ton of money, but can still be as effective in the half court as MPJ, That's a big win. Now, with that money you saved, you can get Bruce Brown, Tim Hardaway Jr., and whatever Sacramento wanted to do this offseason, you were able to get Jonas Valanciunas for Dario Saric. That is a massive upgrade. I'm really excited to watch Jonas Valanciunas and Jokic share the floor offensively this year. You kept all the young guys that can have their internal development in De'Ron Holmes, Christian Brown, Peyton Watson, and Julian Strawther. I loved what Denver did this offseason. I think they're big winners. I think Damian Lillard is also a massive winner this offseason as well. Now, it was unfortunate when he went down with the Achilles tear in round number 1 against Indiana, but this was a perfect offseason for Dame, even though he's not going to play in the 2026 season. It shocked everybody when on July 1st, Milwaukee signed Miles Turner, and we're like, how did they do that? Were they somehow able to find a suitor to take Kyle Kuzma's contract off their hands? No, they stretched and waived Damian Lillard. So over the next 5 years, Damian Lillard is going to get paid $20 million every single year from the Milwaukee Bucks. He's also going to get paid around $15 million from the Portland Trailblazers. So this man is essentially locked into another $150 million in his career, and he gets to return home to Portland, where he built a Hall of Fame career in that city. They even kind of had like a parade for Damian Lillard's homecoming, and that's just so cool, where everybody in that city loves you and really cherishes you as their franchise superstar. So I think it's just right that Damian Lillard is going to be playing back in the Pacific Northwest next season. He's definitely a big winner. An interesting loser collective here, 2023 draft picks that were guards that were selected in the first round. And speaking of the Portland Trailblazers, at their media day, it came out that Scoot Henderson might miss 1 to 2 months with a hamstring tear. Man, I just want to see Scoot Henderson fully healthy, because I was so high on him going into that 2023 draft. I feel like he hasn't had the best injury luck so far, and Chauncey Billups has been a little bit hesitant to be fully committed to him in that starting lineup. So I was hoping this year, with Dame there, with Drew there, with Chauncey Billups, 3 guys that could be Hall of Fame point guards one day. Chauncey Billups already is one, that we can get Scoot on track, but now it's going to be a delayed start for him. The 15th overall pick, Kobe Buffkin, who I was really high on coming out of Michigan in that draft, got traded to the Brooklyn Nets, ending his time in Atlanta. He's also had some horrible injury luck to start off his career. And Nick Smith Jr., who was the 27th overall pick, was waived by the Charlotte Hornets, where I feel like he never really took advantage of his opportunities in 2025. Now he's on a 2-way contract with the LA Lakers. Life does come at you fast. And then when you kind of look at that guard class, it had Jalen Hood-Schifino at 17 to the Lakers. It had Jed Howard 11 to the Orlando Magic. Some other guys as well. So I don't really think the guard class from 2023 has aged the best, but shout out to Amen Thompson. He's just looking like an absolute superstar with the 4th overall pick. So we saw Josh Giddey and even somewhat Jonathan Kuminga get paid those restricted free agents at the end of the offseason. But I think the other 2 guys, Quentin Grimes and Cam Thomas, have to be losers as well. It was very unfortunate for them in the 2025 offseason. No teams really had cap space. Every team kind of re-signed their guys, went over the salary cap, so there was no money for Quentin Grimes or Cam Thomas to get on the open market. So the teams that had their cap holds, like the 76ers and the Nets, had all the leverage in the world. So Cam Thomas playing for like $6 million next year is kind of crazy. Quentin Grimes getting the qualifying offer as well, because maybe any other year they're getting like a 4 for $80 type contract. Maybe they're just getting the full mid-level exception, a guaranteed $60 million that they can have in their bank account. And unfortunately, that just wasn't on the table this offseason. So I think unfortunately for them, they're losers, but they can make up money in the 2026 offseason as unrestricted free agents. My last loser is just going to be the Brooklyn Nets. I thought Sean Marks in this front office could have handled this offseason a little bit differently. Now, all offseason I was mentioning how I had question marks about their draft. Yegor Johnman in the top 10, then you go on to take Nolan Traore at 19, Drake Powell at 22, and then you got Danny Wolf and Ben Suroff later there in the first round. You traded Cam Johnson for a future first round pick, which can be great, but now you have to employ Michael Porter Jr. at $40 million each year for the next 2 seasons. Cam Thomas, I just mentioned, that you just brought back on the qualifying offer, so he actually has a no trade clause this year, so you might not even have a chance to move him this upcoming season. You took flyers on Kobe Buffkin and Hayward Highsmith this offseason as well. It's just a hodgepodge of players in Brooklyn, and this is kind of the last year that they can quote-unquote tank, because in 2027, Houston owns an unprotected pick swap from them. So I'm a little bit scared of the Nets' future. I didn't really get more confident from their future this offseason. And my last winner, I think there was nowhere you could go but up for him. He was at rock bottom, at least with his public perception last year after the Luka trade. Somehow a big winner this offseason has to be Nico Harrison. And he's a big winner because he may be the luckiest executive in NBA history, probably in sports history, because he made maybe the dumbest trade, sending Luka Doncic to the LA Lakers in February. They go on to lose enough games with Kyrie tearing his ACL, Anthony Davis being banged up. They lose in the play-in tournament and they win the 2025 draft lottery to select Cooper Flagg. Yeah, Cooper Flagg playing in Dallas is crazy. He's joining Kyrie and Anthony Davis, and this team could be a playoff team next season. Kyrie looks ahead of schedule. They brought in D'Angelo Russell this offseason. They didn't have to trade away a PJ Washington or a Daniel Gafford. They extended those guys. This is a deep Mavericks roster that could be competitive now and in the future. So Nico Harrison just by default is a winner, but I think a lot of that goes to luck and not us seeing his vision. So that is going to be for me. I hope you guys did enjoy my winners and losers of the 2025 offseason. If you did, I would appreciate you dropping a thumbs up. Let me know any other winners or losers that I didn't mention down below, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.